Hi. So I got this email with a bunch of questions, and I just thought like I'll take one little bit at a time. So let's talk about, can a human being sell their soul to a demon or some sort of entity? And before we get into it, let's define all these things. So human, this is the physical body of us. Like you, me, we have two arms, two legs, and then let's say we have a skull, two eyes, and everything else. So like all these looks that you would have as a general definition of these beings like us, that's human. That's the best way I can describe us. But whatever would describe our biology and what this creature is, that can stand and think for itself and everything else, that is human. Now, selling would be giving something in exchange for money, but there are other ways we can trade. So let's say you give me a book. Right now I'm reading one. So you give me a book. Yeah, there we go. You give me a book and I will give you money. Or, you will give me money and I will give you an apple. And there's lots of ways we can trade. And then the soul. Soul is believed to be a substantial entity that feels, thinks, lives, and has its own will. It has consciousness, so it's all awareness and knowledge. And so then let's describe God. It's just basically some great deity, great supreme being. And demon would be some sort of evil spirit or evil form of a being in this like weird ass creature. So for all these, and another thing I will just add, praying. We can pray to God, we can pray to devil or any other being. Praying is basically talking in private or in a religious way to your chosen deity, your chosen being. And, you can express your admiration, express your thoughts, ask for help, but usually just having a conversation and more of a monologue. You're just expressing yourself and say whatever you want to say. That's praying. So in the whole definition, and I'm not best at it, but that's the way I understand these words and the whole subject. When we're selling our soul, we are trading our soul, which is what makes us alive, gives us the thinking, it's alive, it thinks, it feels, it has its own will, it has awareness, it has consciousness and knowledge and everything else. With all this, we're selling those parts. We are selling or giving away, here, take my thinking, feeling, my living, my whole awareness and knowledge. We give it away. But in this whole trading, usually people don't have the whole thing defined. Like, oh yeah, I want to sell my soul to devil, and then I would like to maybe join a wonderful group of these beings that run the world, or just sell my soul and get I don't know, like just become super famous and everything else. When you do that with an intention, with a signature or something else, when there's the finishing part, then the whole concept is sort of sealed. And in a way, you give away your free will, your thinking, your feeling, your feelings, your life. So you get something back, whatever you might ask for. But in return, you trade, you sell your free will, your knowing, your thinking, and everything else. And in a way, someone else, the being that you have chosen to talk to, and chosen as like, hey, do you want this? Do you want some, let's say, physical body that is run by the beingness that thinks, feels, lives, and has its own will and everything else. So this physical body, you're controlling it with a soul, consciousness. And you're giving it away, the control of this physical body, the control of your life, your feelings, your thinking, and everything else. Now, a lot of times there is no definition, or it's more like, let's say, we're doing it in general, because a lot of people don't define it, and they're like soul. So yeah, like whatever this is inside me, not the organs, but this thinky, winky, whatever, and we give it away. So a lot of people, there's like, let's say, we heard stories of celebrities or some people who have massive influence in this world. They might not look happy, but they did get what they wanted. Let's say fame, money, easy life. But is it easy when someone else can run you, control you, and just use you as a puppet? And you're there trapped within this physical body, but someone else is controlling you. So when we do this selling of souls, yes, it can happen. And any entity that you address, that's the being you gave it to, but without being very specific. Like, this is how long you can have it, control over this beingness. This is how long you can own it, and these are the functions you get. A lot of people are not really specific about it, so we're selling this generality. We're selling this part that we understand and think, and without really being specific. Like, let's say when you're getting a loan, when you're like gonna get some thing on your car like protection and thing, like, hey, this is my insurance, and if this happens, like, those guys have hundreds of papers with rules and specifics. If this happens, then that. If this happens, then that. If this happens, then that. And it just follows, and you have to read and understand everything. And like, okay, my car broke down. I'm going to look through my insurance papers. Can I get my car towed? Can I get this happen? Can I this happen? Like, are they going to cover my like whole thing, So when we're doing the whole selling souls, a lot of people don't have everything fully defined and specified. And by that, we're selling the generality, where someone can run your life for you, and in return, you might get something you wanted. And that's sort of where it ends. Because you didn't say specifically, let's say, this is how many years someone can control my life, someone can influence and control my emotions, my thinking, my free will. And let's say you get something in return, but all of a sudden your choices in life become scripted. Someone can play with this body of yours. Someone can use your consciousness, your free will, to run around and use this life. And, that's the whole thing. But at any point in time, you can take it back. You don't need special mumbo jumbo magic. All it takes is just an intention. Because where it starts, like, hey, you gave someone a playground, a character to play in a game. And that's basically, someone's going to control your life for a bit. I don't know how long, but until the moment you're like, okay, I've had enough. Like, that trade happened. You got something that you wanted. You gave away someone the playground. Someone can control you as a puppet and do things. After a while, whenever you decide, like, shit, I think I fucked up and I want to go back. I want to undo whatever's been done. All you have to do is like, hey, I no longer agree to the thing. I'm going to take my soul back. So it's basically taking the control of your life, of your free thinking, free, like, your will, your emotions, your awareness, your consciousness, like your knowing, and all that. So with all these, that's not something a being out there can own for an eternity. Of course, if we would be like, hey, I don't give a damn, you can control me and that's fine, people can play that. But at any point in time, the moment you're still aware, like, hey, I don't like this anymore and I want to switch, you can take it back. You can get your soul back. It's basically your life. And who's going to run it? If you sell your soul to some being and your physical body dies, someone can still control what's going to happen to you next. If you're not aware, if you're not doing anything, your soul can be directed, and for a moment of time, for some like part, you're going to experience whatever else. Where it is incarnation on Earth again and like coming back here, or going to a certain other place, or becoming an entity or something else. That can happen. But at any point in time, if you are aware, like, oh, okay, like, feels like I no longer have a control over my life. Like, I've made this agreement with someone and I don't like it anymore. I don't want to do this. I'm sort of scared. I've prayed to the devil. I've talked to some other things. I've owned some weird stuff in my house with occultic stuff and tried to get rich or famous or whatever your goal was. And you no longer like it. At any point in time, you can take it back. It's like, I no longer agree to it. And this is done. Like, it's your conscious decision of taking control of it. And in exchange of, let's say, having your own, let's say, free will back, your awareness, your life, your feelings, your thinking, that being that you were dealing with, how are you going to make a deal? Because this whole selling and trading, for those beings, money doesn't matter. It's nothing to them. They want to experience life. They want to play. Let's say a lot of these demonic beings, some creatures, some aliens, whatever the hell it is, all these spirits, they do not have creation. They can't create. It's not in them. They've lost it. This is their agreement. The way people come here on Earth, and on Earth, the rules are you can't fly, Like your body can't lift up and you can't do that. And some other things like where, oh, you can't just have a third eye open up. Like you're like, okay, it's a chakra thing, cool, but you're not going to have a third eye unless you're some freaking alien. And that's not what the human body is. Human body has only two eyes like that. So, like the way we would define things. And they don't have those things. Those aliens, demonic beings, they do not have creation. You do. You're consciousness. You're a being that gives life to anything else as well. Anything that you think, you have free will, you have feelings, you have emotions, you can inspire and give life to other things as well. You are a creator. And so because those beings don't have these abilities and they want to, like, in exchange of, hey, they have an easy time with having control, with having massive impact on all the beings on Earth. These beings can influence, they can communicate, they can control beings, they can influence and give you what you wanted physically and materialistic ways. And that's how many people like go like, hey, give me fame. And yeah, it's so easy to get you involved in circles and other things. But for you to get your soul back, it's easy because they cannot create. You still can. And if you give them in trade, fuck money, but give them a playground, give them a life, create, let's say, a world around for them where they can go and be and just like, hey, they can have their own life. They can experience what the human body is or anything else. But if you give them playground, you have the whole thing. You're going to have control. A lot of these beings, they're trapped. Think of, I don't have good metaphors, but it's a being who feels freaking limited. That's where you have your writer's block, but you were never able to write in the first place. And you want to do things and you feel limited because of this body you have and this thinking and the group and like everyone else forcing you to do stuff. And, we just like in a circle that we are spending most of our time with, like if most of your friends or people that surround you are thinking negative, feeling negative, and they're like, if you're going to be surrounded by that, you're going to become that. You're going to think like them, you're going to feel like them. Or if you're trying to have resistance, you constantly have someone chatting it up and still you hear that. So you're going to be creating what they're thinking and feeling and expressing. If you are spending your time with a group of people or beings that inspire you, that gives you knowledge, that information, and you feel like you're growing, you're constantly going to be growing, feeling better, positive, and everything else. That's like normal. So with these beings, those demonic beings, they live in a way where their thinking and their life, the way they lived, it's not allowed to have creativity. If you can get them out of their circle and say like, hey, here's a place for you to live at, and here it is, like you can give them the ability to learn, get better, and just the same way people here do the self-betterment and shadow work and everything else, those beings as well can learn, drop their old beliefs, and actually start learning, and hey, they can become creators too. But they drop the old life and they like sort of get back to the original state without being limited, without being over-identified with something. So can a human being sell their soul? Yeah, you can sell having a control over your life, your thinking, your will, your feelings. But at any point in time, you can get it back because eventually you are God. You're this supreme deity, right? That has all these amazing powers. And at any point in time, you can trade it back. You can give those beings that you made a trade with in the beginning, like, hey, here's my soul, and you got whatever you wanted. At any point in time, you can take it back by giving them something better. But you got to understand that a lot of these beings that you give your soul to, this physical world, like they don't really give a damn about. They don't give a damn about anything materialistic, but they love life. They can't experience as many emotions as we can. We have this huge perspective of all these feelings and emotions and things that come in, like all these processes that goes through us, past lives and triggers and tons of things that, there's such an animosity. Like we're like freaking alive, like feeling so much. They don't have that. It's very limited, running like 20, 50 things max. And they don't have a lot of things that we do. They want this. They want this because they cannot have it. So when you sell their soul, they just get to play around. It's like taking a controller and, hey, I can use my fucking PS4 controller and use a character in a game and just have fun. Same way. It's like giving them reins over your physical body, over your life. And at any point in time, like, hey, okay, I'm done. I'm going to give you another game to play and I'm going to get my soul back. One thing I will add to it all is if some of you have prayed to, let's say, devil or Kalima or some other beings, and you've had conversations and you feel like you're in trouble, praying to someone is just having a conversation and more like a monologue of you expressing yourself. You can get some answers in return. You can get feeling states, experiences in life, and communicating to those beings, you might have some sort of exchange, and that's okay. At any point in time, you can change your opinion. You can change, like, hey, oh, damn, I feel like I really did something I shouldn't have done. And you just like feel like you want to switch. That's fine. Whether you are praying to God, which means talking and expressing yourself to the deity that you believe to be supreme, or where you talk to some other weird demonic being that might have evil intentions or is described as evil through our, like the way we like have our languages. At any point in time, if you feel like you're like, oh no, I'm sort of like done with this, it's okay. So at any point in time, if you feel like you kind of like messed up by talking to those beings, you can just like change your mind and no longer think of talking to them. It's literally like praying to those beings doesn't really put you in much of a thing as much as just like you just open up to communicate to someone. And once you decide to close that door and assume that, hey, you are God, you are creator, you're giving life to everything around you, everything you think you create, everything you visualize, you can imagine, you create. And that alone is your superpower. And if you can assume your superpower and know who you truly are, which is God, that's capable of doing everything, then all these beings that will try to take your soul or, let's say, make you feel like you've really messed up and you're in deep trouble now, if they know that you know, they're going to back off. Because eventually those beings cannot create. They don't have such an ability. They can take, they can make, but they cannot create. You can. At any point in time, you can change your reality. The beings you talk to, you can turn them into a watermelon, a bus, a pumpkin, a cat, anything that would make you laugh or feel better. And by switching that, you change everything. So no worries there. So that's my perception. But hey, you might see differently, and that's okay. So if you see it differently, or if you have a different opinion, if you have other thoughts, please feel free to leave a comment, express yourself, and I'm looking forward to reading it up and seeing if this helps someone at all or not. And again, this is just like expressing how I think today. So I'll see you next time. Good luck. Bye-bye.